He's a star on a Sunday with us on a Friday. This is what we call the cap. Okay, Evan, you're going to dig deep into these numbers. Colts offense, what do they say?
All right, Hannah. So the Colts have scored the most points in the NFL this season, but we're taking it a step deeper. We're talking about points per drive. How efficient is Indianapolis on each of their possessions? 3.34 points per drive this season. Look at the company they're in. 2007 Patriots, MVP Tom Brady, they got to the Super Bowl. 2013 Broncos, MVP Peyton Manning, they got to the Super Bowl. So this is where the Colts are at through 6 games. Historic company when you talk about how efficient they've been on each possession. So how are they doing it? They're doing it with the NFL's leading rusher in Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones, who's having a career renaissance in Indianapolis. Highest total QBR in the NFL, but this is the number I want to focus on. He has only been sacked 5 times in 6 games. That is the fewest in the entire league. Shane Steichen scheming it up for Jones. They have been in max protect with at least 7 blockers on the highest percent in the entire NFL. But you guys know these defenses are too good this year, right? Too good in the NFL these days. Quarterbacks are always going to be under pressure at some point. And look at this. Daniel Jones has a total QBR of 91 when he is under duress with a defender in his face. That is by far the highest in the NFL. Look how much higher it is than Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, 2 of the MVP favorites, highest at this point by any QB in the last decade. So these numbers tell me this is going to continue for the Colts on Sunday against the Chargers. Dan, we going cap or no cap?
I'm saying no cap, and I love this. A couple of things I want to kind of accentuate that Cap said. So points per drive is one of my favorite stats, just because I think when you point to that, it talks about you got to be efficient to do that. You have to be explosive, and then you got to be good in the red zone. You know, like it takes all those things. The 5 sacks is a combination of the offensive line's playing well. You talk about the max protection, which is Steichen, and then Daniel's like being much more aggressive as a quarterback. But the most impressive thing that Cap talked about is under pressure. That's his biggest flaw. That has been Daniel Jones' biggest flaw since he came out of Duke, since he was at the Giants, was in those moments of dealing with pressure, he would panic with the ball.
How do you correct that?
If I knew, Hannah, it's been corrected though. Like that, that's the thing. He would always. That's why he led with all those takeaways or giveaways. Excuse me, the fumbles and the turnovers. That's the thing that he, with I'm sure the help of their coaches and the people, has corrected the most. And that's the reason why he's playing at such a good level. I think part of this offense is 5 snaps a game, you're going to get something new. I got to get myself in frame here. 5 snaps a game, you're going to get a scheme that you have not seen in the previous week. So that'll be a challenge to the Chargers. I talked about Daniel being aggressive. And then this is a team that runs off the tackle really well offensively. That's something the Chargers defensively struggled big time with against Miami. So specific to the game, those are things that Daniel and that offense can have success with.
I mean, listen, it doesn't hurt to have a guy like Jonathan Taylor sharing the backfield with you. Mina, how do you see him matching up against that Chargers defense?
I think he is the most important player on the Colts side in this game, in part because of what Dan said. The Chargers defense is very good, but they do struggle with off-tackle runs. They also play a very high amount of light boxes, and Jonathan Taylor, when he's running into 6-man boxes this year, is averaging 6.4 yards per carry. But the other side is I think the Chargers defense is really good at defending some of the things that the Colts do well. Play action, yards after the catch, the middle of the field. So in my mind, running isn't just part of it. It's the most important part of their offense. I am interested in seeing, by the way, how the return of Khalil Mack impacts things, potentially, if he plays for LA, because I think he's been not only important to their ability to get pressure with 4, but also their run defense. He's a very good run defender. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor, to me, is the key to this game.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the last 2 weeks, what Bill Krosky-Merritt was able to do, averaging 8 yards per carry, and then you come back the next week and we see the exact same thing from Devon Achane, then you know that Jonathan Taylor is going to be the focal point and priority of this offense. But what I've loved about Daniel Jones is his aggression in the play action. Once Jonathan Taylor gets things going downhill, and the way that they utilize delayed releases by Tyler Warren on those play action passes, short crossers, stacks, the way he's attacked the seam, it all starts with this run game. And this run game is so diverse. It's physical, right? It attacks you on the edges. It can give you big plays and dynamic plays down the field, but he's also earned the tough yards. He's shown this year that he's the total running back, and what Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones have been able to do off of these run sets, quarterback under center, back in the queue, I think has truly put defenses in a tough spot of figuring out how they're going to attack Daniel Jones and this offense.
Yeah, RC, I would tell you the ending of that game last week against the Cardinals is probably the most important so far this season, because we've talked about it. This past week was the first time that Daniel Jones didn't look like he has so far this season. The interception should have been another interception. He didn't blink. He didn't go into the tank. He didn't become conservative with the football after that. Like, he had 2 massive drives at the end of that game. Being aggressive, like you're talking about with the football, that's a great sign.
Listen, early on in that game, he throws the interception to Mack Wilson on the boot. But there's a late throw down the seam to Alec Pierce where he puts it on his back shoulder here, where Mac Jones absolutely had a chance. I love the fact that he didn't paralyze himself by the earlier mistake and continued to be aggressive, because that's the only way they win that game against the Chargers.
All right, let's get to our picks. No, all good. Mina is the only one on the Chargers. And what is
she live in California.
Who's that little person there that's next to your pick?
That's Joe Alt, the Chargers left tackle. I think he's going to play in this game. The Colts defense drops from 6 to 26 in success rate when they don't get pressure, and Joe Alt is that important to this Chargers offensive line. So if he plays, I'm rolling with LA, but if he doesn't play, I reserve the right to switch my pick.
I'm not a graphic.
There's no switching. No.
That's the smallest Joe Alt has ever been. Joe Alt ain't been that small in his life. They some glasses.
You got to keep him there, Mina. Sorry, we got to lock
like
that
Joe
pick.
Alternate
With little mini Joe Alt. All right, it is time to build out a play sheet presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. We're going to start with that game. All right, Dan the man. Over, under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Daniel Jones.
I think he plays well, but I'm going to go under. This is a really good Chargers secondary. I just talked about how off-tackle runs, I think, are a little bit more of a benefit to the offense versus that defense. He'll play well. You don't throw a ton of touchdowns against this defense, specifically in the red zone. Warren versus Derwin James will be great. I'm going under.
Let's go to another game. Rashee Rice back from suspension this week for the Chiefs. RC, does he go for over 60 receiving yards against the Raiders?
Listen, I pretty much always pick the over, which is why I don't bet. But yes, I do believe he goes for over 60 receiving yards this week. And this is why. Think about when Xavier Worthy returned against the Baltimore Ravens. It was a concerted effort to put the football in his hands. They've been talking about what Rashee Rice means to this team for over a year now. I think they overemphasized that by putting the football in his hands in some catch and run situations. And we've seen how dynamic he can be.
Okay, Mina, a third game. Give us an anytime touchdown on Saints-Bears.
I'm going with DeAndre Swift, the Bears running back. He doesn't have a lot of touchdowns this season, just a couple, but he's one coming off of his best game of the year. I think they're going to be able to move the ball on New Orleans. And 2, when they get into the red zone, the Bears run the ball, at the 10th highest rate in football. So I think he will get opportunities, and here's hoping he capitalizes on one of them.
I really love this play sheet. A $10 bet on this wins you nearly $50. So there you go.
Get rich.
All right, still to come. The Eagles offense, we know they've been out of sync. Brian Flores has the perfect scheme to make it worse. Here, Mina says the game plan could be a nightmare for Jalen Hurts. And score more from the game this football season with ESPN Bet, the sports book for sports fans. Right now, new customers get $100 in bonus bets when you bet $10. Sign up with promo code LIVE to get started today.